Oh, my bad. Ready, Commissioner? Yeah, I'm ready. I'm sorry. Public Safety Park Recreation Committee is now in session. We have AA, definitely a long agenda. So I would ask that when it comes to comments from people, be mindful of others to may want to comment and kind of stick to the item that's being discussed. Going to move the agenda around just a little bit. Minutes, item number one, we'll go with that, minutes from the March 8th meeting. Any issues left on that?
None.
All right. Next item, I will do this, we'll take the public safety report. Okay.
Yes, sir. So for the interest of time, we have quite a lengthy agenda. Of course, there's always stuff in our committee that is not ours. So I had some other things I wanted to bring. We'll figure something else out. As far as the public safety report, we sent out, we have it. Entertain any questions. One thing to note in there that I do want to, we're going to at some point start a study. Our calls for service have like kind of skyrocketed. And now it's over a year. So we're going to do a study on what the difference is calls of service now as opposed to the previous 3 years. Other than that, again, you all have that information. Things that you've seen have been really well as far as the public safety department has been able to accomplish. I do want to get into some things as far as code compliance. We have been, and residents, we really appreciate, we're getting pictures and phone calls and emails with issues that we appreciate. We love that. People coming in because we are working on a plan for the city for blight elimination. So one of the things, again, it's going to be a clip note version. We're in the process of kind of restructuring, getting some resources in place. I think we're going to be able to add some staff as well as supplement with some other staff in the public safety department. Our goal is to take kind of where we are now at 2 to 3 to 6. What we want to propose is that we take a particular area to start with. We are looking at, obviously, the blight. I think the blight is such a degree in Benton Harbor that quite frankly, I think we just come to accept it, which is unacceptable. So, for example, McAllister and Lovett, if you go end to end, stem to stern, not only do you see vacant houses, which have plenty of pictures of, we got dumping, we have other structures, we have really kind of proliferation of kind of brush that's gotten out of control, fences around houses. So we're getting a plan together for that. One of the things that we do as we go to restructure, get things in place, we're looking at systems, processes, policies, and procedures. Let me say it again. Systems, processes, policies, procedures. You got to have all those things in place to be successful. Okay, so we're working on that. One of the things we're going to do, and again, we appreciate the input we're getting, is kind of look at a division of 3, if you will. So, of course, we have the residential component that we have. We have the commercial component. We're going to be introducing and establishing an environmental component. The environmental component will deal with some of the environmental issues. We'll have the marijuana businesses kind of in the commercial component of that. So we're trying to make sure that we have every aspect that needs to be addressed in the community. So environmental, tires, being in contact with Eagle, those type of things. If there's things that might deal with something that, vegetation, whatever the case may be, that will have a policy procedure in place in the system and the personnel to be able to address it. We know we're all short. I'm not going to sit and tell Benton Harbor we can't get it done because we're short. We're going to make a way. We'll improvise and adapt where we're coming. So you're going to see some changes coming, some things you'll see rather quickly. But we're asking to be patient because we didn't get in this spot overnight. So I just want the citizens to know we are aware that there are huge issues. We are aware that we didn't have processes, procedures in place to be able to deal with them. They will be in writing, and we'll have the staff in order to address those issues. We also want to get some type of digital or mechanized version to be able to receive complaints. So emails don't get lost in the shuffle, because I get about 60 to 80 emails a day, as I know the managers also. So, when those come in and they get lost in the shuffle, that's a disservice to the residents. So we don't want to make sure we have something in place where it comes in, it's tagged, it's given time frame, at least 5, whatever the case may be, so we have things addressed. In addition to that, we also have a new person I'd like to introduce, who's coming in to take the place of the former building inspector. He is actually born and raised Benton Harbor, graduated class 94.
Correct.
He is come here and he is a fellow recovering workaholic. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Loyal Bennett, who is now the new building inspector. Again, Benton Harbor graduate, guys. Come on, what we doing?
Right, sure, though.
So that is what we have going in a nutshell. We want to put together a presentation of being writing. This is what I was hoping to have more time to kind of present. Again, this is a Cliff Note version. And in so doing, and we'll kind of segue into, entertain any questions before we do, we're getting great involvement from residents now. I mean, we are getting tips for crimes. We're getting concerned citizens contacting us. That's why it's important for us to make sure we have a mechanism to say, okay, Mr. Joe Smith contacted on April 13th. This was a concern. Instead of it disappearing into going to complaint heaven, we get a reminder that says, hey, Mr. Smith contacted you 5 days ago. Where we're at with that. So again, we're trying to be as efficient as possible. Part of that actually also entails public works. I think we have a plan. I talked to the manager and Mr. Little about, as far as we have that new wood chipper to be able to help residents go through and help clean up some of these lots and chip out some of all of these, like the pics you sent. We're so used to seeing it. It's unacceptable. This is going to be the Benton Harbor Bowl. So that's what we're working on. And if there are any questions, we got some new toys and stuff. But if there are any questions in relation to that, or comments or concerns, again, we got several people here who I thank you for your comments and your being involved in the city. We can't do it alone.
May I add this too, Chief, that due to the complexity and strategic planning, it's a lot, and it will be hard to cover, and just a meeting, especially with the other items on the agenda. So we discussed calling some special meetings with public safety committee, and it don't have to be on Wednesday. We just have to give an 18-hour notice. So as these things become more put together and ready to be presented, because we don't want to wait till next month, waiting a month at a time to get this out before you know it, winter again. So be looking out for some notices for special public safety committee meetings as this stuff get put together. So just a note on that.
And one thing I do want to say is, because the elephant, actually we have a whole pack of elephants, we can only take one bite at a time. So if we say, hey, for the first attack, a place, if you will, for example, we'll take McAllister, Levette, Winans, and something on the north side. Not that we won't get to your area. We're not saying we're ignoring your area if you live someplace else, but we got to start somewhere. So we want to have, I'm talking about a systematic, house by house, block by block, street by street, alley by alley. It'll take partnerships with us, city manager, public works is a huge part of this. So that's what we're talking about. So be patient with us, but I'm telling you, we're coming down, marching the troops down, and we'll have public service announcements. We'll have, people won't be, blindsided and ramshacked by, okay, now, yeah, we get it. Maybe we didn't enforce some things before. Yes, we are now, but we're not gonna punch you in the jaw and say thou shalt. I can give you one example. So in our research, we found that we have, of course, we've always known several residences that are used as rentals that aren't registered. We have probably conservatively, 1/4 of businesses in the city that aren't registered as businesses. So this is a huge money loss, obviously. You know, we have income tax not being paid, so everyone in here is paying income tax except other people of the city. That's not fair. So we want compliance. We're gonna do it the right way. We're gonna be fair. But at the end of the day, we gotta do what we gotta do to clean up our city. With that, is there any other questions?
Commissioner.
Yes. All right, what else?
No, because this is more of an outreach program we had talked about, but I talked to somebody yesterday, so this is something different.
Okay.
Just want to also add too that those who are listening and those who really believe that something needs to be done, and this is a concern of theirs, help, be an ambassador to, the operations. Because you're going to get, just like you said, start in one area, somebody going to wonder why you picked that area and why you didn't start in mine first. And so you're going to need some help. Just saying, hey, we got to start somewhere. We're starting here, and we will be getting to the other areas as time permits in the resources. So we just, when we called some time ago, some years, but we didn't have, the resources or, personnel to call the war on blight. And, as this thing now developing into something, that means that everybody who's concerned with this, gonna have to help out, and whatever little help it is, if it's just, calming some of the negativity down or something, or, saying, hey, look, what can I do to, get involved? So, just ask, for your help on that. I think in the end, it's gonna work out and everybody will be pleased. Most everybody.
So, Commissioner,
Director of the union.
If I could, I'd like to be even a little bit more specific. If all of the employees in the city got into this, to be a little bit more specific, is if every employee the city has got into this effort, if all the kids we can get through the summer program got into this effort, still, nobody could help in cleaning this city up like you, the citizens.
Right.
Take a bag out and pick up some plastic bottles, paper, and cardboard, and that kind of stuff. Pick up sticks and so forth.
Everything.
Tie them up, put them on the
I
curb,
think
whatever.
people gotta.
You can help make a difference in cleaning this town up. We'll do our best, but it doesn't happen until every citizen in the city gets involved. Stop the kids from throwing stuff down, or stop others from throwing stuff down. If they do, pick it up, and we can get a clean city.
And thank you, Chair. Also like to say on that, I can remember last year when the children were cleaning up in the summer, we actually seen Ben Harbor, and some of these kids knew who they were. They would actually drive by and throw stuff out. And these kids out there picking up stuff. And they would yell at them. They knew some of the kids would call them right away. Hey man, why you da-da-da? So what Mr. Little is saying, we want that generation to do what? When we just show them what we do. We see somebody clean up and we throw paper out the window, knowing they clean it up. So yeah, as adults, we need to do way better than that. I mean, we already know our situation. So we gonna keep hashing over the same thing. Nah, I guarantee you, if each one of us took a hand in this room, it'd make a difference. Hand.
Commissioner Singleton, if all due respect, we can kind of stay on point, kind of cut down to identification. So we want to lead into a resident, one of many now, that came off and said, what kind of help I want to start a block club. You can come up, Mr. Joseph. He's gonna-
That's the next item on the
Yeah.
agenda here, Mr. Princeton Joseph.
He's come up to the table there. He has been working on for about 2 months now, help organize our other effort, our block club effort as part of this whole big piece that we're trying to launch. And I'll let him, again, I thank him and his desire to help his neighborhood and city. We work hand in hand, so I'm gonna let Mr. Princeton Joseph kind of introduce himself, talk about his idea and what he's come up with as far as reinvigorating and launching back our block clubs. And not just the 8 to 9 that we have had for years, but all over Benton Harbor.
Thank you, committee, everybody here. My name's Princeton Joseph, been here all my life, 56 years. And as I was just alluding to the gentleman and the people back there, I've seen this place when it was beautiful, on top. Didn't take the city to help us do nothing. We did this on our own, the citizens. Only time the city came through was when it was major emergencies. What we're doing right now is lazy. And now we got the dispensaries here. I'm going to try to do my best. So I've been here all my life. Uncle Charles and them left, but I told them I'm going to hang in here. Me and my wife think it's worth the try to see if we could form this block club and see if we can get some help and see if we can start one bridge at a time. We stay over right off Martin Luther King, over by Sealy McCord School, Martin Luther King Elementary, which is, they call it something different right now, but we're over in the Sealy McCord area. We don't have a name for it right now, but this is introduction, and I've had approval already from the chief. So me and my wife are going to kind of spearhead along with this program with a little bit of help with some of the logistics that I need. Somebody to help me with some of this that Tanisha done. Looks like she did a pretty good job as far as making sure that the letterhead and everything was legible for everybody to read in order for us to have bylaws and something that we can kind of look forward to kind of get this city back on track. Like Chief said, it isn't going to be overnight success. It took like 50 years for this city to get destroyed. I watched it. So if I got your help, I'll be here. But if I don't have your help, I'll disappear.
So,
Thank you.
so Mr. Jefferson, first of all, thank you for your effort. So we're putting out there, we want not just him, but as many residents that are interested in helping as possible. Him, that area, and the other area. Now, say, Mr. Joseph, what's your thoughts on once you get that established, how we spread that to other areas? I'm trying to get an established formed system where it's basically add water and stir for any other neighborhood.
I believe the way, just like Ron and you were alluding to, it's going to take us to really communicate with the citizens in that one central area. If we get that one central area spurned off on the north side, then, well, actually, I think my side will be considered like the east side. This is like the north side going back out where we stayed off on Best Eye, that way. So you can kind of move one section at a time, just like what you're doing with the blight program. We're going to have to hit it one section at a time. And if they see that we're doing pretty good on the east side, if I can get a few people on the north side, and I ain't talking about no 60 and older, we need young people that are interested in their area, that are homeowners, not just renters. We're talking about homeowners. You got a lot of renters around here, and that's another issue that we got. If you don't have enough interest in your home because you're renting all the time and your landlord don't care, most of these citizens don't care about their property.
That's not correct.
So I'm a homeowner. So, and we've been, you figure we're habitat homeowners. It ain't the best house, but you take care of what you got.
It's yours.
And you take care of your property. So I just think with one section at a time, we just gotta just take on one piece at a time. Like I said, this isn't gonna happen overnight, but I think if we put our equipment, our minds, and our work together, that's what we did every Saturday before we went out to play. Before we went out to play, you clean the alleys, you trim the alleyways. so that them big old Buicks could get through. You know what I'm saying? They had big cars back in the 70s. So my dad and them didn't play. We had German people across the alley. You cut rhubarb, you cut all them limbs out so that they could get their cars through the alley. We cleaned our alleys. So they didn't come through there and clean them alleys. We didn't have no blight because we didn't take no stuff back then. My dad and mom, them, they didn't play. A lot of these parents right now, they're single parents. And like I said, if they don't care, they're not gonna care about the area. And another thing that, just to piggyback off of you, Commissioner Edwards, I think you hit it right on the nail. It was one thing that happened in my area that somebody said that they followed this, because I was wondering why we was having dumping going on behind us. They said they seen the city do it. So when you seen the city trucks go down Valley Drive and down back where the old Lake Michigan College used to be at, the old tech center, where they was dumping at, my neighbor dumped his brush, his furniture, his mattresses, whatever he wanted, he dumped back there. So these are the things that, like you say, you know, just one fire at a time.
Thank you, sir. We can maybe get copies of that document, so we'll connect after this. Commissioner, we yield.
Okay, he get privilege to call me Ryan, because he live next door to him. Like my little brother there.
He know, we used to clean up together. We used to clean up together right on Hastings, and we didn't have to be told. If it's along the curbs, you get on out there and sweep the curb, rinse it off. The stuff I'm seeing now, hey man, get the shovel out, you know, all around the manholes. And then call the city, say, hey, Ron, you have somebody come here and check my drain. I just got done cleaning it out. I'll rinse it down for me. You know, there's simple things like that that we gotta stay in sequence with the city if need be. But some of the stuff we gotta do ourselves.
It's for us.
As far as.
Okay, anybody, Commissioner, I think you.
I just wanted to ask, so I have a full understanding. Is this about creating block clubs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? So whatever assistance that, we can, I'm sure the chief already committed, I've committed, and anybody else, that we're gonna see this thing through, we're gonna see it grow, we're gonna see it grow to, every neighborhood. So that's what it's gonna take. Any other questions on that item? You got one. Listen.
Hi, good evening, Cassandra Booker. In regards to the blight and the cleanup, I understand the process and I understand what you guys are trying to do, and trust me and believe, I know the task at hand. I know you guys hear from me all the time. So I know what you're dealing with, and I do have faith that we can get this thing under control, and we can get this city cleaned up. However, in regards to the cleaning, once we start, wherever we start, how do we maintain and/or monitor? Because I know it's a repetitive thing that happens all the time. You'll clean up a spot, then it'll be dumping again. Like, what are you guys putting together a system in play? Would the cameras monitor enough of the city of Benton Harbor, or how do we plan on making sure that we're not just pretty much putting Band-Aids on, going around cleaning and having to go back and do it again if it happens again? Like, what, I mean, because we're just going to keep spinning wheels if that's the case. So I was just curious about that.
So we do have more cameras coming, and this is probably a very crude analogy, but this is kind of the best way I can explain it. So when the United States goes in and invades the country, they invade them, take them over, and then they don't just up and leave. They make sure that the government's able to go support itself, make sure the resources are in place. So as we go through, we're block up flyers on doors to get people engaged to, this is cleaned up now. The more eyes we see, we have, when I was on the road, we didn't have cameras. Now everyone almost has cameras in their neighborhood. even if you don't want to be involved, have your name in there, send us some emails with some people with some license plates, some vehicles, will take care of that. So we're hoping that according to the philosophy of Mr. Joseph is, once we start to get it taken care of, we have to get back to the village raised as a child. We've gotten away from that. So there will be support systems in place. We're not gonna just come, clean, go, making sure that people understand and respect there. And it's multi-tier. I think somebody spoke to residents that they're just renting properties. We're gonna make sure that they're registered. We have a tenant right program that needs to be proliferated again. If there are complaints against landlords, or if there are even landlords' complaints against tenants, that we can help them to get the wrong people out and the right people in. So again, I need more time than I have, but that has been obviously very important to go and leave and we're doing the whole thing over again versus we turn it over to the natives and we still have some support there for. Again, very crude. I'm sorry. My son's going to West Point, so I'm taking militarily now. So all my guys are in the Army. So Mr. Retired Army here. So that's why we provide that to come.
Answer your question. Anybody else?
Oh, terrible.
Okay, we're gonna move over to the next item on the agenda is a public hearing. Draft 23 annual action plan and draft. Extension amendment. Okay, Mr. Lewis.
Madam Clerk, what do I plug in here in order to,
One of those plugs.
let's see. Okay. This is a public hearing on first the program year 2022 annual action plan amendment. And if I might ask if the commissioners and others would hold their comments until after the citizens make their comments. HUD requested that we separate them so that when we send in citizen comments, it's just citizens comments. They've been having to weed through long debates and discussions from committee members and so forth. They asked us not to do that. Okay, the 2022 program year is being modified. As you can follow on the screen, the consolidated plan is going on here with this thing. Let's see if I can get this to stay. Okay. The amendments that get made have to be in concert with the consolidated plan, and it's an amendment to the annual action plan for that year. Just to, by way of background, every 5 years we do a 5-year consolidated plan that goes through the same kind of process. And then each year we do an annual action plan that generally has to comport with what we said we're going to do in the 5-year plan. In this instance, where it's a rather simple amendment, we have moved to reallocate a total of $40,655 from existing public services and housing activities to fund the summer youth program that's coming up for this year. Just again, by way of background, we're limited in the public service category to not more than 15% of our funds going into that category. And that category includes the feeding programs and the summer youth employment program. So we're taking 4,000 from the, that we had allocated in the plan for food bank, 10,000 from community food and nutrition. There's still other monies that are left there for it. And 26,655 from housing rehabilitation program to fund the upcoming summer's youth program, which will be combined, I should mention, with some assistance we'll get from Michigan Works to fund and pay for the youth that are from 16 years up. And basically, that's all there is to the 2022 amendment. So at this point, before I go on into the 2023 annual plan, can we take any comments that anyone has regarding the amendment or any questions?
Commissioner Henry,
Thank you, Chair.
you participate in this.
Yes.
Is it allowed?
Well, the commissioners are supposed to not participate as citizens, but to do theirs after the comment period is complete.
We'll let you- Got any citizens that?
Whoa. What just happened?
And let me go back and state again. After the last two times that we sent in citizen comments, we had pages of comments that basically were from commissioners and so forth. They had to weed through that to pull out citizen comments. They specifically asked if we would ask that commissioners and committee members in these public hearings would hold theirs until after the citizens comment and we close that. And then we can take it.
I got that.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Any citizens, Duncan, get hand up, bro. Oh. Any citizens? Well, once. Oh, Ms. Sanders.
Cassandra Booker again. Mr. Little, I have a question in regards to the funds that's going to be removed or possibly be removed from the home rehabilitation funds. Is there any particular reason, like, are those funds not being utilized? Or is there any particular reason why you guys chose that area?
Yes, and the reason is because the landscape is changing in terms of how fast we can use those funds. We're right now going through, and I've reported at a couple of the meetings and to HUD, that because we have to coordinate with the state's lead removal efforts, both the lead paint and the replacement of the plumbing that's going in the houses. If one of our clients qualifies, we can't start doing any work on that house until they do theirs and get out of the way. So we're having weekly meetings with them to share who has, been cleared through our program. We give them those addresses. We ask them if they'll make an effort to include those as rapidly as possible so we can go in and do our work. But that whole process is slowing it down. And as a consequence, we have all the money we can use doing rehab as rapidly as we can do it. So by taking this and putting it here, because the other thing that we have to contend with, and I've reported this before too, and maybe it's a good time to report it again. We are required to spend at a certain rate, and we've not been able to achieve that yet for a variety of reasons. And in fact, we just got our letter in the last week that I mentioned at a meeting last time about we're not going to meet that spending limit that we have to for this coming period. But we'll be put on a workout plan, and I'm preparing the explanation to them as to why that has occurred.
Thank you.
Any other citizen comments? All right, Commissioner Henry.
Okay, that closes the
Close the citizens,
citizen comment.
citizen portion. Commission comments. Commissioner Henry.
I just want to ask the same question I've been asking for months. For a closeout report of all of this, CBG money that is going to other outsourcing, to other agency. And there should be a report as to what happened, how our money was spent. It should be something to hold them accountable, because the next rollout, we just automatically roll the money out again. And I've asked through several avenues to get this information, and I haven't gotten it. So, through the chair, I'm asking for those closeout and those contracts. Since they already been renewed, I'd like to see what happened in 2022.
Mr. Little, Director, you-
We will put that together and get it to you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners?
Mine is, well, I guess with toward Mr. Joseph, I'll just keep up with him since he already has your contact information. Okay.
Okay,
Oh, one thing on those kids, and I have to ask this every year, they ask me the same question.
This is on this
Yes.
report here, right?
Yes. They ask me this every year. So there's two sets of kids that work here in the city in the summer. No, they don't both get paid. So I have to answer that every year. One are Ben Harbor, what we call Ben Harbor children. That is the summer program that Mr. Little was referring to. The other one is Youth Works. They are on a mission. So we don't have to, there's no payment there. So that's the two separate groups. But I get that same question every year, so that's it.
and on that point, since you mentioned it, I'd just like to throw out, one of the things they're in need of is a location where the people coming in and Youth Works can take showers. So if somebody knows of someplace that would be available to do that, I sure we would appreciate knowing, let either Jerry or myself know.
Yes, they have a place to stay. And one year we was talking to the school board, but I think COVID broke out. I think that was last year, it was like the second year of it. And they hadn't had time to, do the whole thing. But anyway, yeah, that's what they're looking for. On an average, if you need numbers, it can fluctuate from any 40 per week. They will come in on a Sunday. They will leave on a Friday morning. Upwards to, I have seen upwards to 77. The group changes every week. So you can end up one week with 45, next week you can end up with 55. But it's a different group every week. They come in Sunday night, they leave Friday morning.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if we're ready, and Chairman, proceed to the 2023 Annual Action Plan.
Go ahead.
All right. The allocation for the next fiscal year, and just to try to be a little helpful, I should say program year, goes from October 1 of 2021 to September 30 of 2022 for the 22 program. The 23 program, which we're talking about here, begins October 1 of 2023 and goes to September 30, of 2024. Okay. And I
And that's.
talked this
because
long.
That's the federal government's physical year.
Yeah. Just one moment. I talked just long enough that the thing closed out. Okay. Our allocation for the coming program year is $401,000. Let's see if I can get, there we go. I should mention that it has been decreasing slightly every year for a number of years. Last program year was 407,000. The program year before that, it was 411,000. But as I said, we have limitations in terms of things like the category that they refer to as public services, that we can only put 15% into that. And I mentioned to you earlier what that was. In terms of the priority needs and goals coming from the 5-year strategic plan that we prepared. Number 1 was expand and improve public infrastructure and facilities. Goals, expand and improve public infrastructure. 2, affordable housing development and preservation, which is 2A, housing rehab. 3, public services and quality of life improvements, and that's provide public services for low, moderate income and special needs. And that's the program that I mentioned to you, that we expend our funds for the summer youth employment program each year, and also for the feeding programs, which are a food bank program where the Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency buys a number of foodstuffs and publicize it so that low and moderate income people from the community can come and pick up a packet of food. They usually have meat and vegetables and so forth. And last year when they did this, it was over here right off Miller Street, and there was a string of cars that went all the way back up here to Main Street that was going through picking up the food. In addition, there's an agreement we also have with Meals on Wheels, which is senior nutrition services. In addition to the meals that they provide to homebound seniors here in the city, we provide them funds to add to what they give to the seniors, additional vegetables and meat and protein to add to their diet. And the rest of it, of course, as I said, is a summer youth program. In the 2023 action plan projects, program administration is $80,326. Again, there's a limitation. 20% is the max that you can use, and 20% out of 400,000, that's what the figure is. Public services, which I just finished describing to you, comes to a total amount of $60,244. And for that reason, we'll be somewhat limited in terms of the number of youth that we'll have. But unlike last year, where the Community Action Agency had COVID money they could make available to us, and they gave us a grant of $75,000 that we put with ours. And in addition to what Michigan Works, we had a fairly large program. Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency doesn't have that COVID money this year, so they won't be doing that. So our program is going to consist of what we put into it, which will primarily hire young people, 14 and 15-year-olds, and will also provide for the support. Like last year, we had to rent trucks for them to be able to move the kids back and forth to their workstations, some tools and things of that nature. The Michigan Works is going to provide the older youth from 16 up. A certain number they've indicated, maybe up to 20 in-school youth who would be possibly younger kids, and as many as we can handle kids 16 up to 24. And we'll be working with them and doing what we can. Public improvements, $204,834. That's our sidewalk program. And housing rehab, we're putting $56,230 in this upcoming year's program, which is about the amount that we pulled out of the 2022 program to support the summer youth program. And this is, there'll be a public comment period that's going on right now that is from March 27 to April 27, 30-day period. And if anyone who's not here tonight, doesn't make comments tonight, wish to do so, you can do so by email to us here at the city or written letter or whatever. And at this point, any citizen comments?
Okay, this time is for the citizens. Any comments, any citizens on this public hearing? Come on. Mr. Oh, it's kind of like, you got it. Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, Ms. Little, just trying to expand a little bit on how the money is allocated and what would, just say for the neighborhood block club, if I would wish to try to apply for funds, just say a couple of years down the road, how would you go about that process? And is that even feasible?
Depending on what it's to be used for. It could be something like tools or something that could be structured in such a way that perhaps Public Works or someone would maintain them and make them available whenever you need them, or something like that. There are ways to do it. And the answer to that is I would need to become aware of that as soon as possible so I can plan ahead for it.
Any other citizens? Mr. Duncan.
Yeah, being a citizen that really don't understand a lot of what you guys talking about. I know there's other citizens like myself that they won't get a chance to know exactly what this means. But I wish you would kind of install in the, at least let the citizens know how comfortable you guys are as commissioners and city managers and about this process.
Any other comments?
Hold it, all right. Yes, any other citizens? Yes.
Hi, Cassandra Booker again. The infrastructure, can you go back up to that slide for me, please?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So the sidewalk replacement and improvements now, is that this action plan project is the funds allocated towards what's going on currently, a part of the $204,000, or is it additional? That's been allocated from the last fiscal year funds, or is that 204,000
This is additional.
additional? So,
Yes.
okay, so it has nothing to do with what's currently happening.
What's currently going on is
Yeah.
being funded from the prior years.
Okay. And also in regards to the sidewalk program, because I'm unaware of really, are you guys replacing all the sidewalks in Ben Harbor, or is there certain ones that's being replaced?
No, we're going at it. I believe some 3 or 4 years ago, there was a study done of all the sidewalks throughout the city. And is it speaking louder? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there was a study done of all the sidewalks in the city to determine the areas that were the worst and most in need of, and we're kind of going through that, going from the worst down toward the others. And last year, I think we did about 250,000 of them this year. This program's about 200 and something thousand. That's what we've been doing each time. And it addresses both the need that we have in sidewalks. Technically, under the law, sidewalks are really the responsibility of the adjacent homeowner. But by doing this and as a part of the blight elimination, as the chief mentioned, by doing this, we hopefully get caught up enough on some of these that we can get back to where things can be maintained. Yeah. In fact, I'll just mention it sort of as a little advertisement. We also have going on, and I mentioned previously, we've got a small tree removal program going where if there are trees already down on city lots that are larger than 12 inches, 12 and under, our chipper and city crews can handle. But if they're larger than that, and we'll package those into a bid package, put them out for bid and get them removed. If a citizen has bigger trees like that down on their property, in fact, trees period on their property, because again, that's the citizen's responsibility normally. What we will do, if the citizen will agree to pay 1/3 of the cost, we'll pay the other 2/3. And what we do again is put those in a package, put them out for bid so we can get the best price on them that we can. And we'll remove those for them. And another step in trying to clean up the city and eliminate some of the blight and so forth that we have. So I mention that because I want people to be aware of it. And if you know people who need to take advantage of it, we would love to have them do so.
Mr. Duncan?
My question too was for the pickup and all of that, for shrubs and all of this. Are there jobs in this program for some of our 17 to 25-year-olds or something where they could, is it some kind of a stipend where they could be used? I see you guys are asking for new block clubs and all of that, but you gotta have a program along with whatever program you guys got was gonna involve the citizens where they can make some stipend money or something to make ends meet better than is happening. Are there anything included in this package?
Only the funds that are allocated to support the summer youth program. Other than that, it's in these contractual projects. And as I mentioned to you, I anticipate summer youth program will probably consist of around 40, 14 and 15-year-olds, and a significant number of youth 16 years old and up. Michigan Works has informed us that their in-school money is very limited this year, but they have significant amounts of money for out-of-school youth. Youth who have either graduated or not in school for whatever reason, dropped out, whatever. So that's how it will be done.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Joseph?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to kind of help reiterate to Mr. Dunn. Mr. Dunn. With the money that they got going out right now, I think Mr. Little kind of expanded on a little bit. Where we're at right now, and from what my evaluation has just been, just as a citizen here, every summer, they got to get to work. Some of them don't even want to work. I can't even pay some people to even come trim some of my stuff back properly like they're supposed to, and take pride in what they do. We can't give up on everybody.
You just have to train.
That's where you can't get paid at first.
No, you're not
I didn't get paid at first to
You're
go
not
out
gonna
and
get paid for that.
do half the things that I had to learn to do. I had to learn it, and I had to go through it first. I think the programs that we got in place right now, I think with the city being financially strapped the way we are, we need to come from the grassroots and kind of peck our way at this until we financially get feasible and kind of bring everything up together, between the money and the cleanliness of the city.
We financially capable now.
With all due respect, Mr. Duncan, I definitely understand you. I just hope and pray that we can work together with this.
We are.
Okay, we'll
Gonna make sure.
stick on the topic here. For any other citizens got any? One more,
Thank you, sir.
this, oh,
I want to say something.
wait, wait.
My name is Jamal Adams, my first time at the meeting. This kind of question I just got with myself, because, in the community, it's a lot of houses that's, abandoned. We got squatters, a lot of reason why, people come in and burn the homes down and stuff like that. Is there any funding or programs or anything that we could do that, to get people like myself, that want to actually come and, maybe buy some of the homes up and fix them up to where the community could look good? And I feel like if, it look better than just tore down or just being vacant. That's another issue I think that we need to take care of as well.
And we are working on programs to address that. It's a different program. They're basically coming through Michigan State Housing Development Authority and the state. We're communicating with them constantly right now to try to implement and put in place programs to address the housing need.
Any other citizens? Commissioner Henry, was your hand up? Commissioner?
Okay.
All right, we'll close it. That concludes the public hearings. Next item on the agenda, resolution to approve the lawn maintenance bids for 2023 season. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a little history so everyone will know what happened. We presented the package of bids to the city commission on last Monday night. They asked for us to bring it back through the committee process. Just so you know, that it did not go through the committee process last year. We're bringing it back, and I don't know what they want me to do from there. Any questions, we'll answer them.
Any questions?
From my understanding, it was just perfectly vetted, but I only had, well, really not a question, but then it is a question. It was in regard to the lawn care of the parks. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Little, we have a program for, I think it's 18 and up,
Yes,
specifically for parks, because they can only ones that can operate machinery.
that's correct.
And that was one of the problems we had, not only with the kids we were hiring at the high school, but also with Youth Works. When we get a bunch of 17 and down, but they lost the 18. So my question is, that's from June to August for both groups. So are we hiring, are we hiring the same amount of work needed? Are we hiring another contractor along with them, I guess is what I'm asking.
We have other contractors that are working on different other lots.
Right.
The parks themselves are dedicated to the 18 and older.
Okay. Gotcha. That's the only question I had.
So, break it down, so I guess in this, resolution here, it's for what, like, city lots,
It's for city lots, vacant lots,
cemetery,
cemetery,
okay.
and, yeah, both cemetery.
Government property, city hall, whatever.
Yeah,
So, parks are gonna be handled by the,
about 18 and above.
okay, all right. All right. The chief,
Thank you. Mr. Chair. I got a question administratively, two-part question. One, I know there's some data we were waiting for from each of them. A, B, are they current with last year or previous years or whatever as far as income tax?
I have all of the required paperwork that we asked them for. As far as city income tax, they all need to be contacted. I just got that information from the city income tax administrator.
So, prior to awarding the contract to them, they have to be in good standing with the city for us in income tax.
That is correct.
Okay. So if this, so that would be the stipulation in the resolution that if you want this contract, you have to be in good standing with the city.
That is correct.
Okay,
That's the charter.
okay. All right, that's good. See if I think if we had passed this last Monday, we might have missed that. But we could have, when you had went back and put that in, I don't know. But that's Monday night quarterback. We're here now. So, Commissioner Tyson.
Yes, to the chair, city manager, how much do we have budgeted for the lawn care for this year? I know it started in April to October. So about how much we have budgeted for this?
We have budgeted an amount that will take us
Money man.
Chair,
Whatever it takes.
We'll figure that out.
And you have to say that because we don't know when the grass is gonna stop growing. Okay, remember, we had to go all the way to December last year.
No, we didn't have to.
Yeah.
We just.
Yes, we would have.
I think the clerk has some information. Numbers there. As you're doing that, is there any, I know it been talks in recent years of, at some point, bringing it, most of, as much as we can, in-house, so that's still ongoing. Or have we scrapped that idea?
No, it's not scrapped. Just so to give you some history on that. Last year, we looked to hire an extra 6 to 8 people. Bring them in-house. We found one person that had license. One.
County revisit.
And my issue with that, Mr. Manager, that I had to say it again, everybody, we don't need a license to drive a lawnmower, push a lawnmower, so.
But you gotta get to that line, like.
Yeah, but it's, so you could have took that one person, and get a van or something, and take another one, so that the one who had the license would have had an easy job, and it might have encouraged the other ones to work on getting their license, but, I know this is some.
Sunday morning, Monday morning.
It's pregame. Okay, Commissioner Henry.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, this is the late in the season. We have to make some
Oh, yeah.
decisions about how we're gonna maintain our line. But, just like last year, I'll ask that we do everything in our power to bring it in-house. I'm tired of outsourcing our money. And, per some comments that I got, emails from different people, we definitely gotta look at the quality of work that we're getting. I can't say I've been out there and looked for myself. So I'm only going by when the citizens come up and have some comments. So, it's a extreme amount of money as far as I'm concerned. So, we can't do anything right now until we get the questions answered about the income tax. And that would just open up all sorts of Pandora doors for me. I get to see how many residents they really did I just love that idea. So, yeah, let's get that count back so we can also see if it's really true that our people are working. Because in the past, it hasn't happened. So thank you for that one. I appreciate it.
Did you have a comment?
That was it.
Huh?
No, I just had some questions he answered.
Okay. Anybody? A second.
Cassandra Booker. Who is managing and overseeing this project this year? Is it the city manager's office or will it be Public Works?
Actually, it's a combination of people, but the inspector, he left. Maurice is one of the persons, they verified that the work has been done before payments are made. Also help answer questions, any questions that workers have. Public Works answers, I do some answering, Mr. Little will do some answering. So it's a team approach.
Okay. I know because last year there were tons of issues. I sent many emails in regards to the quality of work, what wasn't getting done and things of that nature. So, I mean, I'm all for it. It seems like to me that the contractors that you guys have listed here are, I'm assuming, from what I know, inner city residents or have some type of stake in the inner city of Ben Harbor, which is good because we're actually filtering money back into the community. And so that's a good thing. However, just because they're inner city residents or whatever, the work needs to be done properly. That's all I'm saying. And this is a lot of money being paid out because if I'm not mistaken, that the city has over 400 lots that they're going to be cutting. Second part to that question is, why do you guys have so many lots? Are you planning on selling them? Like, this is a huge expense every year.
Yeah.
And what is the plan of action in regard? Are we just gonna hold, I mean, are we waiting on the master plan to get complete? I'm just trying to figure out, why do we keep spinning our wheels in regards to spending this large sum of money every year in regards to maintenance and lawn care?
Good.
Yeah.
It's a great
Our plan is to build homes, build communities, and get residents back here into Benton Harbor.
So we're pretty much waiting on the master plan and the
We're not
rezoning.
waiting, but we are planning as we're going. The grass is still gonna grow.
I'm aware of that.
So,
I'm aware of that, but I'm willing to take some of those lots off your hands if you guys, whenever you're ready to sell some of them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that is a big time issue, because this man, so many blank lots still out there. That was quite a few.
Mr. Little, did you have your hand?
Manager's
No,
comment.
that's okay, all right. Anybody else? Bert, what right here?
I know that we're trying to get out of here, but I've never met Mr. Campbell, and so I can't say anything about him. $5,000 to mow the cemeteries is not a lot of money for cemeteries of this size. So I would hope that he could get the contract, and I don't have any stake in that. However, I've been a business owner and I've been a manager, and I'm all about accountability. My father was a Marine, and so I'm used to the white glove experience as he inspected my bedroom. So accountability, and I'm going to briefly go through some of these pieces of paper I have here. Crystal Springs, called Garden of Memories by its builders. This cemetery was once one of the most talked about cemeteries in the United States. There's not one administration that can be blamed for where it's at today. It's been a 50, 60, 70-year problem. But it can start to change here with us. Last Monday, Mr. Mitchell mentioned that there was only one complaint last year. And I would say that's true. One probably formal complaint that was on a piece of paper. But there's countless emails and there's countless comments made on a Facebook group called Benton Harbor and St. Joe Memories. There was one posted today about a lady attending on Saturday her grandparents' graves, and she broke out in tears because of the unkept property. This complaint here was filed in 2021 by Angela Gray. She's still waiting for her feedback on this.
This reference to grass though, is this reference to the line?
It references the grass. Yes. These are headstones on the Veterans Memorial Cross. These men and women were willing to sacrifice their life. My uncle did, who's buried on that cross. They deserve to have their graves maintained and visible for people. We weed whack around everything else, but we don't on the cross. And it doesn't have to be done every month. It could be done twice a year because it's more than it's getting now. In August of 2021, I did it. And you can see names and birth dates, et cetera, et cetera. In December of 2021, this is the way they looked. In May of 2022, the week before Memorial Day, as I understand it, Mr. Campbell had a family emergency. But why are we giving a contract to an individual who doesn't have a backup plan? Because the week before Memorial Day, this was the Veterans Memorial Cross. It was up the shin of my wife. You can't see a single grave. So it was that bad. I asked George at the cemetery if he knew when it was going to be done. He didn't have a clue. So my wife and I hired Forkers Landscaping here in Benton Harbor, and we paid them to mow the Veterans Memorial Cross. They weed whacked and they mowed. In December, the city had paid $7,500 for leaf cleanup. The last check was December 4th. This was December 5th, this photograph. You can go out there today and still see this. I know leaves don't stay still, but that's a lot of leaves. So yesterday I noticed that down in the grotto, this area was cleaned around this memorial that's down there. It's been a mystery. I think as of today on Facebook, we determined it actually isn't any one person's grave, but it was cleaned up. That's Ox Creek that runs through there. The city is working to restore Ox Creek. However, if you don't clean it up back there, and as I understand it, it's going to start at Home Depot and go all the way through.
That's right.
But you're going to be wasting your money if the grounds crew doesn't throw all of the leaves down into the ravine.
Right.
Because that's what's happened there. It's all clogged, it's all polluted, because all of the leaves that they do get in the area around the ravine go down in the ravine. The city owns the cemetery. This is pretty disgraceful to our veterans and ourselves. So my wife and I, we've been out and bought 3 flags. We maintain the flags now. Somebody on Facebook complained Well, you're disrespecting the flag if you don't light them. Well, the history of the cemetery was the sexton raised and lowered the flags each day, but that doesn't happen. There is no electricity out there. So between Bert, the cemetery management director, he and I split the $1,200 it took to light the flag poles and to replace the lanyards and to replace the clips and so forth.
That's what Bill says.
And this is my uncle's grave on the cross. Again, I don't care one way or another if Mr. Campbell gets the job, but I think the contract must include a definitive date when service starts and when it ends. And if it has to be cut again, that can be arranged at the end of the season. There should be a schedule of when the mowing services are going to be done so that anybody going out there can inspect it and know that it was done. There's a 2-week period. It's mowed basically every 2 weeks. That grass grows rather quickly, and you can't tell in 2 weeks what part was done and what wasn't. There needs to be a definitive date in the fall as to when the greatest amount of leaves have been collected and disposed of, not dumped in the ravine, but disposed of. It's reasonable to expect that there will be some leaves that fall later and will scatter across the cemetery, but there shouldn't be piles. And it's imperative that, again, for Ox Creek's project, that you don't waste your money on that. I believe the graves on the Veterans Memorial Cross should be cleaned with a weed trimmer at least twice a year. The contractor should also provide services in the event of an emergency. If someone has a death in the family and Mr. Campbell has to leave, who's his backup? I mean, the cross needed to be done. We owe that to those men and women buried there. And so that has to be something considered when giving the contract. Now, I looked at the payments that were made for April and May of last year, and they didn't change. So that's fine, but if you're not cutting the grass for a week or so, why is it still $5,000? Did it take 2 weeks? You know, we just have to be careful. The city of Benton Harbor doesn't have money, so let's not waste it. And I further believe that any service contract should have penalties built into it for services not performed as required. And these aren't to be viewed as a punishment. It's an incentive to do the job. It also protects the city of Benton Harbor, which can't be too liberal with its funds anyway. The contract should include language regarding having the grounds supervised at least twice a month by either a member of the cemetery board or a commissioner, for the purpose of assisting the contractor in verifying he's doing the job and letting him know he's doing a good job or not, and to minimize complaints from the city or the residents. And then when the city of Benton Harbor once again gets back into the cemetery business and assumes control over the cemeteries, this contract or any other contract related to the cemeteries actually falls by city charter under the purview of the cemetery board. So right now, the city manager has been given the leeway by the cemetery board to make these agreements. But hopefully the city will get back into the cemetery business. And once again, we can make Crystal Springs and Morton a cemetery worth talking about. So I encourage that before you just start signing contracts.
Thank you, Mr. Woodward.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Buckrack, and your compassion for the cemetery. And as you stated when you began, that this is something that's been going on for some years. Then definitely, you hate to always go back to what happened with the emergency management and all that stuff. But it is what it is. But we're in the process of trying to make things right, and it was good that the cemetery board finally, said, hey, this is too much for us. Their hands was tied really with no funds because the way the contract was rolled up for the caretaker now, where pretty much all the funds that comes in go to the management people there. So it was, where you're gonna get the funds from. So those things are being worked on. The board, they knew that it was too much for them. They did allow, so they had to do it the way the charter reads for the cemetery board, which is an autonomous board. So they had to, okay, to get what limited help that the city could give, because, and again, ultimately, it ended up falling on the city anyway, because it is a city cemetery. So, I think, there's some things that's happening. It's going, it would happen overnight, probably, definitely not, 70 years, like you say, try to fix it all. But, your comments, that you did make, I'm sure they've been taken, this all this stuff can be adjusted, tweaked. Eventually, we want to get to a smooth operation.
So my point is not to just complain,
No,
but to offer my help
solutions.
and what we can do.
Yeah, I appreciate this.
So,
Got anything, Commissioner, on the resolution?
No, and I think all comments are good, and it's been repeated, so.
Yep.
I mean, in a small town like this, we all gonna have to chip in.
Consensus to move this back to the commission. Consensus for Commissioner. Move it.
Yes. No question? Commissioner Henry?
Okay, sorry.
I would definitely say move it forward because of the time frame.
Yep.
But I would also ask that we have that information about if they qualify, whatever it
Yep.
is that the question is, to make sure that they're all in compliance. That would definitely have to come to the commission, please, without us asking for it.
If we was in the court, we would say this would be moving forward with prejudice.
With concession that
prejudice.
information is provided to us.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay,
We can update.
all right, thank you. Next item on the agenda. Resolution to approve city manager to execute an agreement with John Young.
Mr. Chair, John Young, as you might recall, the gentleman that helped us with the water,
Mhm.
had made, about 30 presentations.
Speak up.
Yeah, you can't hear you back there.
Okay, he's back there.
Okay, I thought I was speaking into this. Mr. Young is the consultant who's been working with us on the water project and the improvements. And he's made several trips here. He needs to get paid. And that's why we're trying to get the contract.
Oh, okay, he is a permit.
No,
Okay,
he's not. He's an expert in water.
okay.
Which have provided some, real needed and, information that, to me was easy to follow, it made plain enough to,
It was with the analytical?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Commissioner.
I just want to know if our attorney looked at this contract, because
Yes,
I'm sorry, sir,
yes, he did.
he did look at it, and he said everything was,
Yes, he did.
okay, thank you. So, through the chair, do you think that $60,000 is a lot of money for this contract?
Chair, you actually manager.
I'm talking through the chair to whoever can answer the question.
Through the chair.
It's $60,000, not to exceed $60,000. And during committee, we asked that question about, And that kind of answers this as, but how many times do, we have to pay for hotel rooms? How many times do we have to pay for mileage? But $60,000, my question is that reasonable? I've read a lot of people say that 150 to 200,000 an hour for that kind of position was standard. But I'm asking somebody else, is that $60,000 appropriate for what he's offering?
The scope of the contract, could you,
If he's asking me, the answer is yes. Good price,
you know,
because I know the amount of work that he put into it.
and what is the going rate for that if it's, you know, have you seen
I
it?
didn't compare it with others, but we know that he just helped pull Jackson, Mississippi out of the fire.
Mhm.
And he's been working with other cities. Probably if we had had him at first when we tried to get him, and we were turned down by one of the agencies, we probably would have been further along faster.
In your professional opinion, is well worth it.
Well worth the money.
Commissioner Ice.
Yes, I just wanna know, this is for the work he done a couple months ago. This is what this, just agreeing to the,
For the past,
with the water,
10,
with the water
about
plant,
10, about
18 months.
About 10, at least 10.
10 months.
working with the EPA and saying that the water is good, right? Yes, yeah. Water's good to drink.
Commissioner,
This document says the service will be provided beginning July 1, 2022.
Yeah, then
That's the 18 months that I was talking.
for the service.
So has he submitted any charges, any invoices as of yet?
We don't have any invoices yet.
So we really don't know how much these expenses, him traveling back and forth, hotel, auto rental, parking and all of that. We really don't know how much that is gonna be. Now, that was a serious question we asked twice through committee. And you said you were gonna get it back to us. It's important for me to know that these are,
Joel can answer that.
whoever can answer, it, fine with me, thank you.
Yeah, he's submitted some invoices, but the city's been holding on to them until a contract agreement can be made.
I'd like to see those invoices and we can see exactly what the pattern is gonna be for $60,000. We're already almost in a whole year. This is July 23 coming up. So I'd like to know what's going on and how much we're gonna be charged for those items. Through the chair.
could Ms. Manager, can track that information down for us?
We'll get that information for you, Mr. Sheriff.
Cassandra.
All right, I'm just kind of confused here. How do you enter into a service agreement after the service has been performed? Isn't there some type of proposal prior to you even accepting the services? How do you know that the services and or the cost is gonna align with what the funds that you have allocated towards the service? I'm confused. Am I missing something? Is this the actual agreement that should have been signed in July of 2022 saying that, okay, we agree upon these charges?
In July of 2022, we would have known exactly what was going to happen. This was all new. We're talking about the water plant. We've not gone through a total revision on the water plant ever. So we didn't know what all was going to be in the contract.
So
What
this
was
is a new,
going to be done, needed to be done.
So the contract is contingent or based upon what he's already done, not you guys going in, not knowing exactly the services that were gonna be needed.
That is basically correct.
So when if you say no and you can't pay this, then what happens?
How would we do that?
I mean, I'm just saying, because it's just, I've never heard of entering a contract with someone based upon, unless there was something disclosed in regards to what could potentially be charged. You say his experience, he has experience with this, so he should have had an idea. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I've never seen anything like this before. I'm just a little confused.
Anybody else got a question?
I'd like to offer a comment.
Okay, Mr. Duncan had his.
No, you got a comment?
I'd like to offer a
I'll
comment.
wait.
Basically, this situation you had with this water plant and the whole circumstance following some of the past problems the city's had with managers, the situation with EPA and so forth, it's been an unusual situation that required unusual responses and solutions. As to the $60,000 amount, from many years of dealing with professional services, it could have just as easily been $150,000. And I say, in answer to the earlier question, is this reasonable? It's very reasonable under those circumstances. And many people with that kind of credential, you would not be able to get for that kind of money. So I think it is unusual that it occurred the way it did. But the city was having to kind of roll with the punches in terms of what EPA said and what had to happen next and so forth. It really was not in a position to sit down and design a scope of services, which is what you're talking about, that a person would normally respond to and give you a quote. You didn't know what the scope of services was until day by day, depending on what EPA came back and said, you gotta do next. They've been jumping through hoops for at least a couple of years with that situation out there.
And he kept up with the goal line, farther and farther, you complete this, they say, yes, okay, you got that done, but now this here need to be done. And what was basically the big prize that was at stake was our water plant,
It's always.
What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't
That's
hear
the
that.
big prize that was at stake was our water plant. And if we couldn't comply, and if we didn't jump every hurdle that they put in front of us, kiss the water plant goodbye.
So in other words, what you're saying is that, by any means necessary, we would have had to have, and I'm not even about the $60,000, because I know professional service costs.
Yep.
I'm aware of the $200 per hour. I mean, you pay attorney $150, $200 now, so I'm definitely understanding. I don't have any problems with, I was just concerned about
Process.
the whole method and process. So you guys were looking at it pretty much any means necessary, regardless of what the cost would have turned out to be, you would have had to have paid it anyway.
Right.
And so you feel like you got the best person and the best results for what you needed.
I do.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand. Oh, I get it, I understand. Thank you, Mr. Little, for explaining that.
If you know where those $200 hour attorneys are, let me know.
$500.
Well, yeah, that's true too.
I can use that information.
Any other questions on that? If not, consensus to move this forward. Coach,
Move forward.
Madam Clerk. Next item, resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a grant agreement from the Michigan DNR for a Spark grant for Hall Park Restoration Phase 1. Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. And I'll let Joe, did you do that one?
This was Marcy's, yeah.
Smart,
Yeah.
okay. We, the Spark grant, when we found out it was available, Marcy took the lead and the team got behind her and we got the loan application in and we were awarded, what was the amount?
958.
How much is that?
958,000?
900.
958,000. And that we are going to make Hall Park a masterpiece that it should be.
I think we definitely was fortunate because it was a very competitive grant, there was only so much to go around, and so we were fortunate
And
to,
and you should know that Hall Park is a major part of the Ox Creek project.
Mr. Manager, Chairman, if I could, just a
look,
couple of other points of information. This is the grant that I mentioned meeting last week. Cornerstone contributed $20,000 toward the match on this so we could get this grant. The other thing we need to be aware of, keep in mind, the estimate for the total work we want to do on Hall Park came to over $3 million. This is just the first phase.
That's why they need to get more money.
we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
The other, Commissioner Henry.
Yeah. Boy, I really appreciate it when we get a grant and we don't have to put any money up. Thanks out to Cornerstone. Is it any way possible that we could see the award letter from this grant so we can see what the grant really offered?
It's in the packet.
It's in this package?
Yeah, the agreement has all the details.
Yeah, something the citizens could look at.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see it now. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments?
See, they
Consensus to move this on? That's
can't
great.
just keep that. I need to-
Next item, resolution authorizing submission of the Transportation Economic Development Fund Category F applications for West Empire Research and Reconstruction. Mr. Manager. Mr. Little. Defer to Mr. Little
I'm sorry.
on the resolution for the resurfacing of West Empire Transportation Grant.
Joel,
Yeah, I can speak about
go
it.
ahead.
Okay.
So Joelle Regovich with Avon-Marsh. This is an annual funding opportunity to request money for street repair. And this particular one focuses on roads that are federal aid eligible assistance category that have high commercial traffic volume. And so we picked West Empire. We looked at like the volume of traffic, and that one kind of had the highest of the roads that the city kind of would be eligible for. It's the same grant that funded Pawpaw Avenue up here. So we'd like to put in an application. There's a 20% match requirement. So there would be a little bit of city money from street funds to pay for it, but we would ask for the maximum grant of $375. It includes the street and stormwater. So,
Sidewalks.
no, not on this line. Yeah.
Oh, up the hill.
Yeah, so like from the high school down to the lake, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Up the hill, I was there.
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty
Colfax,
terrible.
from Colfax down
Yeah,
to the river.
Yeah, it's deteriorating.
yeah, it's bad, yeah.
Yeah, we can have one.
Now, does it come all the way down to Wall or Market? Because it's bad all the way down.
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Colfax this way. I'm sorry.
Wrong way. Mr. Joseph.
Question on each one of these projects that's coming up, Mr. Mitchell. And
Joelle? Yeah.
Joel, will the citizens have any participation in working on these projects, or will they be able to participate in either one of these projects that's coming up? I think, for the citizens to,
get any kind of knowledge of what we got going on here. I'm hearing people talk about this water, but I think unless we get involved and people are getting trained to understand the logistics and how a city really works, they're never gonna really understand. You know, I'm just, you know, I think education is gonna be key to a lot of this. So is that something that's
Yeah, and
they're looking at?
that's been a
citizens?
discussion for a while to try and incorporate, you know, local people into the actual work.
Like internships.
Yeah, the grant requirements require them to be put out to public bid. And so it's kind of like working with the contractors to get them to have people on board that would do the work, and help them and train them and stuff.
So it's still kind of locked out to the citizens then, really, because when the
Yeah.
contractors come in, they're gonna kind of like have their people on board on who they got, and they're gonna just run with them, and the citizens still kind of left out on how to pave and how to do their own.
And I think there's potential to try and find a way to get people
The
involved.
only reason why I say this, because
Yeah.
I'm always over in Little Chicago, which is just a little Mexican community. They do their own. You don't want to help us, let us do our own. And I think that's the only way that we're going to do our own water, take care of our own bridges. We got to start somewhere. We got to. We got to get educated on this. It ain't just Carl Stevens, just one person. We need everybody to learn how to pour that concrete. We need everybody to learn how to understand H2O.
You have to understand that not everybody wants to do that.
You know that. That is true. But we can't all move in the fair plane and move out of here. And then I'm showing up to these meetings and we're still talking about the same spinning wheel. And I'm 55, now going on 56. So I just want, I'm 55, going on 56. I've been here since, Ron will tell you, I've been here when it was sugar. I've been here when it was sugar. So I've been here when it was
I've been
sugar.
here for 70 years, I ain't seen no sugar.
Oh, trust me, it was sugar.
Hey, all right, location. We'll go to,
That's the reason why y'all complaining now.
Gotta get another in, Commissioner Hendricks, he's been
Oh,
jumping in.
Mr. Joseph,
Oh, boy,
you asked the right question. Do you know we have policies put in place to make sure that residents get jobs and it's not implemented? We have a Section 3. We also have an agreement with the contractors for 25% going to the subcontracted workers. And the state of Michigan has all sorts of apprenticeship programs. They're pushing, now you know the state of Michigan is a right to work state now. It can work, it can do its union contracting, but it's got to come from local. We have to accept it and say, all of that work you put in 25 years ago, and in the last 2 years with Section 3, $200,000 of federal money, and they have to practice the Section 3, which gives us employment or an opportunity to train some people. But if they don't implement it, we don't get it.
Who is they?
They are whoever's doing it. I can't call no particular
Well,
name.
Commissioner Henry, I'm not here to start no.
No, but it's something
But
you
these
said
are-
56
These are
years
things
you've been
that
waiting on.
Mr. Mitchell know, Mr. Little know. I ain't gonna say no more. They know what I'm talking about. It's either gonna come out or it's gonna stay under. See, I ain't running away like Uncle Chuck. I'm not that dude.
Oh, that's the Joseph.
I'm not that dude. I'm the one that's gonna bring it out. It's either, cause I ain't on Facebook, I'm gonna bring that book to you. I'm just one-on-one. And it's either you're gonna do it or you're not. Me and my wife got a plan. It's either this city is gonna move to help us retire, or either it's gonna move to help us get out of here.
Gentrification.
That's it, gentrification. You go, well, you do.
Yeah.
Part of it was done with us. I'm not gonna say no one part story. It ain't no one bowl of soup.
Yeah, well,
That's why I say it's a lot to where the citizens, we left our own selves. Some people that's left behind don't know no better. Just like you say, you don't know no better. how many more people are like you? We gotta know better in order for us to do better. Like Mr. Little said, if we don't know no better, if we ain't trying to know no better and move to another area where we could be more educated and help them out, you're still leaving something behind. So,
All comments were well taken,
I would like to give one thing.
when I came out, I wasn't finna leave nothing.
You heard Commissioner talking about, Section 3. Mr. Little, would you explain to the people exactly what Section 3 does?
He knows.
Yes, Section 3 is from the HUD regulations, U.S. Housing and Urban Development. And they require that all HUD-funded programs over $200,000, Section 3 applies, and that requires that the contractors performing those services make every effort to hire low-income, moderate-income residents from within the community. And if I might, while I'm talking, let me just expand on this a little bit better. I've been trying to explain the situation we're wrestling with here for the last 2 to 3 years. This city's population has now dwindled down to about 9,100 and something people. That's from 16,000 that when we came here back in '84. As that process took place, I mean, prior to that, around 1964, they had 19,000 people. After white migration, out-migration took place, then it was followed by black professionals, out-migration. A lot of homes were left sitting here vacant that should have been restored, maintained, and kept. They got torn down and empty lots left.
Listen to that.
That diminished the tax base of this community, and it also helped lock in a low population. Because every new person in the city that got a decent job that paid good money moved out to Benton Township or St. Joe Township or somewhere else where they could get a nice ranch style house with a nice yard that was not available here in Benton Harbor. When I came to this town myself, I stayed for 3 months down there and traveled in down there, Tackle Haven, because, and rode the streets for hours every day, looking to try to find a place to live. I finally came back to the commission and said, I won't be able to take the job because I can't find anything in the city that I can live in with my family. And I got special dispensation to move out into the township. I'm about 4 blocks outside of the township there at the past Broadway and the city line. This sifting process has been taking place for years. As a consequence, out of this 9,100 people, I work off numbers. So all numbers are important to me. Over 36% of your population is 15 and under. 20% of your population is 60 and up. Of the people who are left, which you're only talking about less than 3,000 people, around 1,700 of them are on some form of disability, whether it's emotional, drug-related, alcohol-related, or whatever. They're on disability. Now, when you subtract those out, look at what's left for your workforce.
But please,
can't hear me.
And when you look at what's left for your workforce, you don't have a big workforce. We just went through that with the water line thing where we went out here and tried to push everybody that we could find to work on the project. Many of the people worked for a few weeks and then left.
Why?
Now, I received the complaint that contractors were mistreated. No, that's not what happened. They have limitations in terms of how much money they can make and stay on disability. That disability designation automatically qualifies them for food stamps under the SNAP program and other things, and they're not going to give up. I mean, when it comes down to the bottom line, They're concerned about what works financially for me.
Because they gotta eat.
And as a consequence, it's not to their advantage to take and maintain this job that we're talking about.
There you go.
So now that's the reality of our situation. And it's for that reason that we're concentrating our efforts on trying to get some new housing built in this city on these vacant lots that we're talking about. We went for 30 years giving lots away for people because it's next door to the house and I'm gonna maintain it, which all of them didn't. And that we were gonna put gardens on it, which brought in raccoons and whatnot and so forth, and all them other problems.
Which is good.
And nothing happened with it, and everybody was gonna build a house. But ain't no houses got built in the last 30 years. So now we're gonna hold on to these lots and tie them to a package that we can offer to people, that if you're serious about building a home in the city, here's even a construction package called Pattern Homes, and already, you don't even have to go pay a architect to design it. If you look at the choices, and one of them suits you, we'll help you get a lot to put it on. Tell us where in the city you want to be. And that's what we're working on now and doing some other things, because when you put the housing back, then if a person comes in here and gets a job, they can stay in the city. And it has some impact on your employment rate. If a person comes in right now, just like I did, and they want to stay in the city, where? I spent 3 months looking out there around the area off Colfax and May Street, looking for a house to come up so I could buy it. There's got to be housing more in this city than just in that corner. And once we do that, our population will go back up, our tax base will go back up, the situation will begin to turn around. And not until that happens will it change.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody consensus to move with this item?
Move forward.
Next item on the agenda, memorandum of understanding for farmers market. Taking that. Mr. Matt, farmers market.
Chair, the farmer's market is moving into what, third year, fourth year? Something like
More
that.
like 12 years.
12 years? Well, it's moving into an improved year. We have another, what do we call it?
Interest.
Pavilion.
Pavilion. We have another pavilion, and we have more activities in the park. And farmers market is really been a success. It's
Chance to bring folks
bringing
downtown.
folks downtown.
Answer this bit.
So what is this memorandum?
This is just the memorandum that we want to have with the county about the
So it's just an action item for commission?
action item for the commission. Yeah,
Okay.
we want the commission to know what's going on.
Do you have it? I don't have it in my packet.
That's what I'm looking for, apparently. it must
Now, I
have-
know it opens June 18th.
Yeah.
I know that. Other than that, I don't know anything special outside of that.
And nobody else knows either, so welcome to the club.
That's why we're bringing it to you, so you know.
So I know it was attached to the revised agenda that was sent out,
Yeah.
but because it was a late edition, it
It's not copied.
just didn't get printed and put on the impact.
Is there an invite date on there or something, or just, is there like, we're invited to a meeting, or is it just a notice of information?
Just information.
Yeah, it's just outlines,
Let's wait on.
it's going to be held in City Center Park on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. from June 21st to September 13th.
Oh, so I got the 18th wrong, 21st.
That,
I got that.
um,
I got
that
that.
the Health Department oversees the operations of the farmer's market. The city will be responsible for promoting the farmer's market, providing garbage canisters, porta potties, and washing station and maintaining them every week, in addition to providing park maintenance and access to electrical outlets and parking.
Correct, I got that.
They just don't plan.
Had we been doing previously,
No,
what we have,
No,
this new,
yes.
this is new.
okay, but we have a commissioner here that's real active in that. You got any comments on that, Commissioner?
Well, I see a couple of things there that, we're responsible for, and I do know Barron County Health Department gets a nice sized grant for what they do. And I know over the years, they've cut back on services for the vendors. So if the city is responsible for porta potties, which we haven't been, washing stations, which we haven't been, and we always provided garbage, trash cans. So if we are to also provide electrical outlets, they should come up and pay for some of that. Because if they're using our electricity, I'm talking about with anything that they want to do, they use our electricity. So just don't let them keep doing things and not being, and now they're going to push all the charges over on us. Some of the stuff is not working, because the bottom line, what the farmer's market is there for, is to provide Benton Harbor residents with food, because we are a sincere desert for food. So that market is there. It's open one day a week. It's closed at 3 o'clock. So if you get off at 4:30, you can't get no food. So, to the city side, standing up and holding people accountable for what they actually servicing us and giving us, it should be what we need. So I'm not trying to shut this down, because it's better than a stick in the eye to be able to go out there for one day a week and get some food. So
what you're saying is it can stand for some ongoing.
oh yeah, but because of the way the it's set up, we can't do any more. Barry County can't do any more with it. So, but I see them pushing them new services on us, and they did get a nice grant and some grants. So go back and have that conversation with them. They don't want to talk to me about it, but somebody else from the city need to talk to them about it.
So
Since there's still time between now and their start date, maybe we'll take a couple of weeks to just work with them. Because one thing I would be concerned about is that the reference to parking not be assumed that we're talking about parking, free parking. The city is at some point gonna have to start charging people for parking.
Parking meters
And,
up.
we ought to clarify that so that it's not misunderstood by anybody.
Another,
Let me ask also, Commissioner is saying that there are problems with the contract. This is the opportunity for you to identify those so that we can take it back to.
Do I need to repeat it then? But it's duty noted, what I said was the problem.
Is that all?
That's it. Thank you.
Ms. Kuzani,
With the issue of when you guys go back for the rebuttal or revision request in regards to, is this gonna be a contract or they were just outlining the services and what it's gonna look like, pretty much? Is that what the presentation or the documentation, it wasn't a contract, it was just pretty much them outlining, because we don't have a copy of it.
You'll get it right there. It's
Oh, just a memo
Just
of
a
them
memo.
outlining?
Mhm.
And another question is, are there going to be porta potties in the park already? I mean, is that something that we talked about in regards to Parks and Recs of having porta potties in this park? Wasn't that discussed or no?
Yeah, it was discussed, but not along with the BAM Health, because at that time, they provided the porta potty and they would lock it up at 3. On some days, I guess whoever was left last, they would leave them open for me, but other than that, they were paying for them. So we had the discussion, so when they close, what do we do, or before they open? So that's when the discussion came in, that parks would have its own porta potty. But with this revision, we gotta pay for it anyway. So that's what I'm saying, so we don't have to lock it. One of the things some of the farmers wanted to do, or some of the merchants wanted to do, they wanted to extend the hours. They also wanted to extend the days, because a lot of their harvests don't come out until late. Like the pumpkins and stuff like that, they don't pull them up until August, late August or September. That's why they go other places. But as far as the porta potty, if we're paying for them, to me, it's in our park, we're paying for it, as long as we have a responsible person who can take care of it, as far as locking it and whatever, making sure we don't have people sleeping in and whatever. As long as we can have that, yes, it'll be our porta potty if we paying for it. That's the way I understand that.
We need to build a bathroom.
See,
Our plan.
Now, if I'm wrong, let me know.
I just wanted to know, city manager, I think can answer this. Wasn't there a discussion, had the city or the council or anyone, Parks and Recs, decided on whether or not there will be porta potties in this park already, or no? That hasn't been brought up for discussion yet? Okay, I know, I remember hearing something about that last year.
Mr. Dunbar.
Just a concerned citizen that really don't want to use a porta potty, but will. I think we should have our own bathroom over there. You're gonna have all of these people coming from everywhere, and cleaning it up once a week is not gonna work for me. I don't know about for you guys, but a bathroom, that's a nice area where you can put 2 or 3 of them side by side. You know, we're not broke. Ben Harbor got money. Fix some bathrooms like on the river. Ricky Yarborough Park, put a bathroom down there. We've been told that it's gonna happen, and I believe them. But to keep on talking about some porta potties, y'all ain't no little kids.
All right, so since this don't have, don't have to be acted on right now anyway, as Mr. Little said, to those commissioners really that's involved with the farmers market and staff, y'all get together and work out, and come up with a final memorandum of understanding. Since we do have a little time.
Yes.
All right, sound good to me. Questions? Go ahead.
Well, I think we do need porta potties because we got kids working in the summer, and this past summer, we didn't really have much of that. We had to go to City Hall, so if we do got some bathroom out there, that'll help a lot. Well, they work on other parts, so they probably won't get this part. But I also think it's required to have porta potty at the park that we use it. That's all.
Wait, somebody else? Anybody?
I was just gonna point out on the electrical topic for this farmer's market, I think Mr. Mitchell said you were planning on more outlets there. Christmas time, we found that a couple outlets weren't functioning, so maybe that's gonna be reviewed prior to market time. The other thing, electrical wise, is one of the 3 lights in the park are functioning right now. I don't know what the problem is, but just a park maintenance item there.
Anybody else? All right, that was, that, and then the next item on the agenda, Park and Recs update. Let's go, Chair.
Thank you, Brother Chair. Thank you all for coming out. Parks update, right? We did just about went through the whole park update. Park updates, okay, on those washrooms, I have to keep saying this, please mark this down. So we don't keep going over this. Porta washrooms, it was discussed that I know of about porta potties. But at the time, every time that conversation died was whenever there was a concert or farmer's market. Majority of people assumed that the parks or the city were paying for them. Before I got in this seat, I thought the city was paying for them too. And we found out we weren't. So when we talked about getting the parks, not farmers market or anybody else, the parks, we thought about getting porta potties at least for the summer. Then, first time I heard this, where we gotta pay for the porta potties, so that solves the problem, right? Am I right? For porta potties to be in that park, if we had to pay for them, that's one. So this is what I want you to mark down. Done. Let's not have that conversation again. 2, Parks and Recs, there's a lot of updates. We got 18 of them. We cannot do all 18 by tomorrow morning. It ain't gonna happen. I don't care if you Bill Gates. It ain't happening. Because you can't have the whole city shut down to do everything at one time. Where you gonna move? If we do all the sidewalks and street at the same time, where you gonna park? Where you gonna drive? If we get everybody water pipes at the same time, who gonna flush what and where you going? So let's calm down with that on the parks. Second of all, Parks and Rec update. Mark this down. We done been through this 3 times. We done seen the presentation twice. We done did a public hearing. So mark this down. I'm going to give the rest of that public hearing because it's in detail. I don't like details. Too much to remember. So I'm going to turn over the park updates. There's some improvement coming. And I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Little. And I will have some more news after he get done with that. Thank you. Mr. Little.
Well, as Jerry mentioned, we are preparing for going ahead and trying to get things in better shape this year with the parks, using the young people that will employ or have with us through Michigan Works. They're older, 18 to 24. They will, as Jerry said, be able to work with machinery. We're going to supply them with one good supervisor that can monitor and direct their activities. When we're talking about cutting grass and taking care of the parks, we're also talking about the kind of thing that you mentioned. After we finish riding through on the moor, we want people to get out there with weed eaters and trim around trees, trim around everything so that it looks really nice and neat. Pick up any paper or anything like that, and when it finishes, we want them to look good. We've had, as has been previously mentioned, Whirlpool helped us with Union Park, spent a lot of money on it, and we want to keep it in good shape and stop some of the problems that we're having. We need help with a lot of this, and I'm gonna tell you one immediate thing that a lot of people could do. For whatever reason, You know, the last things that Whirlpool did at Union Park was called in a company to spray and kill the weeds. Some of you remember there was a big squawk about the fact that the signs were there and kids might get on and stuff. And then they reseeded a lot of that. Now, after spending that kind of money to try and make that park beautiful and the grass look like it should and so forth, for whatever crazy reason, despite spending a bunch of money putting up signs saying, no parking on the grass. Every time you go by there, somebody has driven their car right up to where the kids gotta play on the grass. And about a week ago, somebody even bumped a car into the building and has now damaged the side of the building. Now, how does that encourage somebody to spend money to try to help you with your parks? When every time you look, there's bottles, water bottles blowing all over the place, paper and junk all over the place, hole being punched in the wall, and cars lined up on the grass.
Stop
We gotta have, people have gotta help us to stop that kind of craziness. And that's all it is craziness. It does not make any sense. You would not go over to St. Joe, to one of the parks over there, and think you could park your car on the grass. You wouldn't do it anywhere else. But here, for some reason, we got people who think they can pull up on the boulevard and park there on the sidewalks in the middle of parks. And they're, we gotta get the stuff under control, folks. Or else we're kidding ourselves about making our city beautiful.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair, Mr. Co-Chair.
Mr. Mitchell.
I want to give some positive about the parks. We have, as Mr. Little said, 18 parks, but we don't have a park plan. And right now, we are in the process of developing a park plan. And that will go along with the master plan. So we'll have, and we're getting input from people about what they want to see in the parks. So we're not just sitting and waiting, we are planning. And as a matter of fact, to even get money for parks, you have to have a plan. And Joel is working on that plan feverishly, I understand.
Ask the citizens.
So we should have that plan by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's gonna fit right in with the master plan too.
Commissioner Henry?
Thank you, Co-Chair. A couple of weeks ago, or a month ago, you presented a plan to committee, and it gave us 3 options on different parks around in the city. Madam Clerk, through the chair, do you have that document still?
The presentation that they did?
Yeah.
That has not been finished yet.
That's
It's
not
still working.
I know it's still.
No, it might not be finished, but it asks for opinion.
Yeah.
And which one did we like? I don't know if that was commissioners, elected officials, they were asking for our opinion on, or the citizens. But it was presented to us.
It was presented twice that I can remember, once to I can't remember what committee, I think it was part of the Public Safety Committee. And then it was done at another committee. I don't know if it was a public hearing or not, but it was shown twice.
Yes, in fact, let me help with that. After the first presentation, and it was to get feedback from the people who were here, commissioners and citizens. They got that feedback, went back and revised it to take into consideration what was suggested here. And that's when they came back with that second time for.
Correct.
It's still not finished yet, so there's nothing
So-
ready to.
And those
So
were,
I do remember that one park in particular, they had 3 choices for us to make.
That was Broadway. I mean, not Broad, I'm
You
sorry.
don't have to tell me what park, I just want you to get an
Okay.
understanding.
Yes,
You wanna confuse me, don't confuse me. I just need to know
yes.
that if that last report, and if the clerk has it as a hard copy, because it has not been vetted through this committee since. And it needs to be, because don't believe that it is in the master plan yet. It's not in there yet, because we haven't approved anything. So I just wanna make sure that we vet these
Mhm.
through this committee, because that's where it comes through. And don't let it just pop up again and say, well, this was the consensus, this is what we agree on.
Mhm.
Basically.
And we have to do it now because time constraints. Oh, I've seen that so many times, it
Excuse
just
me.
drives me nuts.
Excuse me, people in the audience, please.
So let's do it, but let's just look at this document. It's going to be something that residents want, need, but it has to be for us. For us. And that's the majority of the population of Benton Harbor. For us. Thank you.
Oh, also, Parks update is there. There's a flyer right there on the counter. Benton Harbor Got Talent. Proceeds will go to Parks and Rec. Sponsored by Noble, 105.3 and their gospel host, Michael Edwards. Also delivery. Tomorrow night will be the second show, 5 to 8. There is no cover charge. Proceeds will go to Parks and Recreation. The final will be at April 27th. That will be the final, also 5 to 8 at delivery. Then the winner will be the opening act for the second annual Blossom Time Block Party. It will be the opening act. The entire concert, 99.9% will be local talent. There's only one band that is not local, unless you call South Bend local, and that's 1985. Everybody else will be local. That is by design. So please come out, participate. People can sign up, as you can see on there, to 6 p.m. tomorrow. It must be 21. And we are talking about plans to get one young. That's an update on that. Another update, talking about Parks and Rec and all that other good stuff. Pretty good. Parks and Rec, not to be arrogant, thumping my chest out, anything like that. But out of the parks that Ben Harbor got, I only been back 8 years. I can almost guarantee you I've been in each one of them more than anybody in this building. When the last time you been to Steve's? When the last time you been to Edwards? I can tell you. I've been to Steve's twice this week. I've been to Edwards once this week. I've been to all 18 of them this month. So, what am I saying about Parks and Rec? Parks and Rec, all the information, everything that I am doing toward parks, I get from the residents. Whatever contractor, sponsor, whatever you label them, I don't work with them if they don't give me what I put down. I can guarantee you that so far, everything I've asked, so far, it's been there. But we still need help with programs. What happened to Union the first time? Built a magnificent park, running water, brick bathroom, concession stand, home run fence. But when they built it, everybody walked away. And they said, hey kids, we just built you a brand new park. No structured programs, no adults out there, no nothing, and they tore it up. So we redid it. Same thing that happened if you do it to anything. So, why am I saying that? Here's your news, and I'll take your questions tomorrow. I ain't asking them today. And if you need a copy of this, you can apply for a FOIA.
Oh,
Yes. Now y'all know me. I know what I'm saying. So don't come back to me later talking about what I know what I'm saying. So I ain't answering no questions after this meeting. I'll talk to you tomorrow. You can call me. I'll be right on in the Blue Roof, the Blue Welcome Center. I'll be right over there playing music, and you can ask me questions all the way up to 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. Y'all ready? Thank you very much. And then after this chair, I will be done.
Done? Oh, you got one?
This is it.
That's it?
Yeah, this will be it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just asking if we're gonna get the Parks and Recs on the agenda next month for vetting through the chair.
We're vetting, I am the chair of Parks and Rec, co-chair. I am.
I know, but I'm talking through the chair, if we're gonna get that on the agenda for next month for the parks and the plan,
Plan, okay.
the plan for the parks.
Mitchell, you, I mean,
Let us follow up on that and we'll touch it.
I beg your pardon,
Let us follow up on that for you.
you wanna follow up on the plan? Or to give it to us?
Both. We can get the plan and then we can get it to you.
Oh, okay.
And if we can, it's what he's saying we want.
Oh.
The plan will not be ready next month.
You just gave us a
I
plan.
just asked her about the plan.
It's not a finished plan.
It's not a finished plan.
So the one I'm gonna be working on is a 5-year Parks and Recreation master plan, and we're targeting.
I'm not
I think
talking
she's
about,
referencing.
I'm not talking about the master plan and the Parks and Rec.
So you're the Whirlpool plan.
Yeah, I guess that was Whirlpool's plan.
That's the
So
one she said.
that is the one that we need to look at and find out what's going on. Again,
Yeah,
Chair,
we'll get that.
can we do that through your committee, Chair,
yeah, we can get that.
We'll get that.
Okay.
next month?
We'll ask them if it's ready for next month. If it's not ready, we won't.
Have we been able to give our response as commissioners and as citizens?
Yes.
That's what you did with the first meeting.
I have a copy of the same thing that you're asking for. All of us got a copy of the same thing that you're asking for in paper.
That's what I remember.
That's the
why-
last copy right there. Nothing else has changed since then.
It's my understanding what they're doing.
I'm talking about transparency, so y'all can have it if you want to. It's all about transparency to me. So if you wanna hold it to the last minute like you've been doing, and then have us approve it, guess what? I'll vote no. Do it again and see don't I vote no. And hopefully some other conscientious commissioners will vote no too. Because if the process is not done right, it's wrong. Thank you.
Let's get one question.
I have one, if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to know when we held something.
I'm asking for something now. I have been asking for things. I have been asking for things for 6 months that I haven't gotten. So now how you gonna ask me that question? I could take you 6 months email back asking for questions to be answered, and they haven't been answered. So I'm asking the chair to make sure that that information is given to us as a whole. It's our job to vet.
Commissioner Ice.
I had one question. You know, we had the Easter egg hunt at the park Saturday, and a lot of parents and children need to use the restroom. I was wondering, can we partner with some kind of group, organization?
All of
You gotta be some trust in there somewhere that we can open up bathrooms up and have them locked when the events are over with, like Little League gonna be there in a couple months. So I'm sure we can partner with, I don't know, Danny Jennings or somebody, some organization that can run the concession stand, have the bathrooms unlocked. There's a lot of kids there Saturday. And parents running to the door and all that, but if we can partner with somebody, some group, organization that can, help keep the bathrooms clean and have a key and run the concession stands, then lock it up when it's over with, do the trash or something like that.
Why even have the event without it?
Yeah, I think that'd be great, so.
Sound good?
Yeah, it gotta be some trust in there somewhere. We gotta do something.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want a response or that's just response? It'll work for 2 events and then they want to start getting paid. I'm giving you an honest fact.
So let's try.
Let's give them a stipend.
That's what we
Okay.
said 2 years
HUD said we
ago.
can
You
do
can't
that.
give, okay, if you can't give them a stipend, never mind. But let me finish this and that'll answer your question. It really will. If you let me finish. But if not, I can go on and on. But I want to make sure this is official and on record what I'm saying. And it'll cover that, trust me. But I still ain't answering no question when the meeting over. That's official. So, can I go? So let me say this first while I read this. Whatever success I have, make this official. It belongs to God and my Son, my Savior, Jesus Christ. Other than that, if you don't put that first, I'm gonna deny everything after that. Ben Harbor Porter opportunities as of April 12th, 2023. Dear Mayor Mohammed, since last week's events, I have thought long and hard about my interests and my commitment to this city. I love Ben Harbor. As most of everyone knows, my heart is with the youth and the parks and recreation, programs, and services for young people in this city. I also care greatly about Dollar Ride. That operation is extremely important to the city and its citizens. And right now, it's in a state of transition. Summer is fast approaching, and I really want my focus and my attention to support our efforts on parks and recreation. While I realize I cannot do that is if I were a staff person or supervisor, because I am an elected official, there is still much that I can do in order to both follow my interests and provide the opportunity for this commission to provide continuous support to Takata by supporting my friend and fellow commissioner, Ron Singleton, to fill the vacancy on the board that I am creating. I am hereby submitting my resignation to the Board of Takata effectively immediately. Thank you very much for your time and service. I'm done. Oh, my bad. So if you need a copy of that, you can go to FOIA. Commissioners, it will be in your package from my understanding. Thank you very much.
Thank everybody for coming out. Good meeting and we're adjourned.
We're almost done.